Welcome in, everybody. We're again talking to another 2021 Hall of Fame inductee. Today we have Jonathon Polson. Jonathon, congratulations on your induction.
Thank you, Matt. I certainly appreciate it. It is quite an honor to be selected in the Southeastern Hall of Fame.
Well, let's start out like I've been doing with everybody. I kind of wanted to hear about your journey. I want to know. And you had one of the shortest journeys of any of our Hall of Famers as a Durant native. Talk a little bit about going from Durant High School and really not changing where you play.
Yes, yeah, that's pretty interesting. It's pretty neat to get to play your high school ball on the same football field that you play your college ball. So that was definitely a neat experience. But yeah, I tell you, I loved it at Durant, had a great academic and athletic support there at Durant High School. And actually, once I finished playing, I was kind of in the dumps. I was like, man, this is going to be it. I don't get to play any more ball. And I really had no idea how you went about playing college ball. Didn't have any recruiters calling me. But fortunately, Coach Sloan called me up and he said, hey, Jonathon would be really interested in you coming and being a part of the Southeastern program. And so I was just shocked. I was like, wow, is that possible? And so without Coach Sloan, seeing something in me, and I would have never ended up playing football there. So it was really a dream come true. And I'd grown up watching Southeastern football. My dad and I went to a lot of games. And especially before Coach Sloan took over, the Coach Lance, they had some really good teams, and so I got to watch them. And actually, we had a Durant player that played in that era. Tad Hamill played tight end for Southeastern. So anyway, I grew up watching Southeastern, and so it was really exciting to get to stay home and get to be a part of that when I had no idea that I would actually get to continue playing any football.
Well, you get here on campus, and, I'm going to ask you about this a little bit later, but, you've got two Hall of Fame classmates who you shared the field with at different times, Pete Spratt and Jeff Mosier. However, you were on the defensive side of the ball. Talk a little bit about the approach over there. We've talked to them over the course of time and heard about the offense here. Talk a little bit about the defense, as you were, I believe, a strong safety, right?
Yes, that is correct. First off, congratulations to Jeff and Pete. They were both amazing football players and just great people. And those two really set our offense on fire. Once Jeff took over as quarterback, I tell you, it was just a whole new deal. He had such great command of the offense, such calmness, and just a really smart player. And of course, Pete, he was unbelievably athletic, and as we know, even after his football career, he's done so many things. But as far as defensively, actually after Coach Sloan, talked to me about football, I guess the coach who recruited me was Ray Richards, who was the defensive coordinator at the time. And so once I came in, Coach Richards, he was the head of it, and I learned so much football from him. Basically, everything I know as far as the strong safety part, he really instilled in me. And we had some really good players at the time that were already there, and we had a good class of freshmen that came in with me in 1990. And so I got to see firsthand, the work, the effort, the mentality that went in playing defense at Southeastern. And it was a hard-nosed brand of football. And I ended up redshirting the first year there at Southeastern, which was a big struggle for me. I thought, man, I don't want to sit out a year. I want to keep playing, And of course, I was naive enough. We had Greg Lawrence at one strong safety, who's probably the best defensive player out of my whole time there. And unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. But by far the best defensive player that I played with at Southeastern. And Jason Wheeler, who was he's from Denison, excellent player. So I was naive enough to think I was going to come in and get some playing time. But Coach Richards, Coach Baxter, they kind of talked to me, hey, we think this would be best. And so I ended up redshirting. But I learned a lot just from watching how those guys went about playing football and, the class ahead of me. And so anyway, just a great experience. Coach Richards had a great system that really fit me well, playing football in that and the rest of the players. And he was such an excellent coach, excellent motivator. And of course, Coach Richards has been, ever since I stepped on campus, he's been a part of my life from that day till now. He's basically looked out for me just like another father, from getting me a job to coaching with him to after that, just always keep in contact with me. Anything I needed, he's always been there for me. So Coach Richards is kind of, he was the big part of running the defense, but not only is a great coach, just such a great friend that he's been, throughout the years. But, it's great to be a Savage defender. Sure is.
Well, I want to talk about a little bit. You mentioned that you weren't recruited necessarily, and ending up at Southeastern was kind of maybe a little bit of an afterthought as you were just pursuing playing football further. But you didn't let it sit there, because you had big things in front of you. You didn't necessarily know at the time, but tell me about your individual approach to getting better while you were on campus here in Durant.
Okay. Well, first of all, when you said about recruiting, I didn't think I was playing another down. So if Coach Sloan had not called me up and recruited me, that'd been it. But as far as I guess playing, my approach to it is, like, of course, I learned a lot. I had some great coaches at Durant High School. Coach Gib Dalzell, Coach David Brees, who was the defensive coordinator, of course, Coach Dalzell, the head coach, and Coach Red Rutherford, who's also in the Southeastern Hall of Fame, was our offensive line coach. And all three of those guys really prepared me for what it takes to put the work in, physically and mentally to be a good football player. And so anyway, I've got to credit those three in high school for being such excellent coaches and also great people. And it's really an honor to get to go in, the same place that Coach Rutherford is, because I have such respect for him. So at Southeastern, like I said, a lot of it, I was able to observe the seniors ahead of me, or not just the seniors, but the players ahead of me and their work ethic, and especially the class right in front of me. We had some Chris Rainey, Byron West. We just had some great leaders in that area, Stacy Ackley, and they just really pushed me not only on the field but also in the off season. I saw how hard they worked, and in high school, I went from football to basketball, so I'd never spent a whole lot of time in the off season lifting weights and all that kind of stuff. But just seeing what it took in the off season to get ready, for the football season. So anyway, just being around those guys, and of course, Coach Sloan put us through a hard off season. We had what we called Hell Week, where I think they would try to basically try to kill us, run us to death and whatnot. But anyway, I didn't think I was going to survive that, but fortunately, with some encouragement, I did. And of course, one player that pushed me more than anything, Stacy Ackley, who transferred in from Cameron after they dropped the football program. Once he came in, he was a strong safety also. And Stacy was such a competitor, such a hard worker. And so once he came in, basically, everything we did, from lifting weights to sprints to playing, it was just a competition. And he's the one that really pushed me as far as a player to, I think, get my full potential out, because he just brought an edge and a hardcoreness about it that just that pushed me. And so I've got to thank him, for that. But that's a little bit about my, I guess the approach was just more just a team mentality and what Coach Sloan established as far as, how to practice, how to do things right off the field. And, and that permeated through the program. And Coach Sloan, Coach Richards, like I said before, they just brought a toughness and kind of a mentality to the defense that you don't always see. And of course, now you get penalized for everything. No telling. I've been thrown out of a lot of games back then because I tended to hit the quarterback maybe a little bit late or more than I should have. But anyway, that's how that goes.
Well, it paid off because you were able to put together a pair of All-American seasons. Talk about coming in with those kind of humble beginnings, so to speak, and then not only being an all-conference honoree, but to achieve All-American status.
Yeah, that's something I really coming in never expected at all. After watching the great players, strong safety, there were some excellent players before me, and since I've been there, obviously, but it's just I just wanted to be at that level. I wanted to try to be as good as they were, and of course, I was never going to be as good as Greg Lawrence, but he still pushed me to, be the best that I could at that position. And it really was something I did not expect. Although my sophomore year, I started thinking about goals, specifically, what I wanted to do. I remember especially my sophomore year. And, I was like, number one thing, I want to win an OIC conference championship before I get out of here. And also I thought, I would really like to do everything I can to make All-American. And those were just things I'd kind of jotted down and thought about. So I guess it had crossed my mind, but when I got there, it was nothing that I had intended on. And so anyway, I'm just fortunate to get that. And really it just goes back to the teammates that I had. Honestly, I just feel like I'm accepting this award really on behalf of all the defensive players that were there between 90 and 94, because there's so many players that are more deserving than me to get in here, and just really appreciate them. And so a lot of that was a result of what they did. And matter of fact, I was talking to Coach Baxter when he called me up about this a couple months ago. And I said, he said, you had a really good junior year, all those interceptions. I said, yes. I said, you know why I did? He goes, no. I said, well, I had Greg Lawrence behind me at cornerback, so nobody was going to throw at him. So they just threw for my guy. So I had a lot of chances. So he's the main one to thank for that.
Well, you mentioned earlier that the approach and what the coaches, Coach Sloan specifically, what they kind of preached was taking care of business. And not just on the field, but off the field. And that's something you also did incredibly well, as the number of people who have achieved this, what you have achieved is very small in Southeastern history. Not only are you a two-time All-American athletically, you're a two-time academic All-American. I want to take a step off the field for a minute. Talk about the importance of your approach to the academics.
Okay. First off, you mentioned Coach Sloan taking care of business, and I don't know if you talked to him, but that was literally his slogan, TCB. He had that written all over the locker room, TCB, and he'd play that old 70s song, Taking Care of Business. We'd be playing that in the locker room. So did you happen to know that, Matt?
I did not. That was actually just a lucky guess.
Okay. Well, I thought that was interesting because that really was what Coach Sloan preached to us. But as far as the academic side of it, that's something that was instilled in me early on with my father and my mother. And my father was a professor of physics here at Southeastern, Dr. Jonathon Polson. I don't think I got the physics genes in the family. My brother kind of got those, so I ended up going into the English side of things. But I had a good foundation, just from my family at home, and I was expected, to pursue academics and do well in that area. And also Durant Public Schools. I had a great education from kindergarten till I graduated. I really feel like it's an excellent school system. It was then, it still is. And, I had some teachers there that were very influential in, helping me achieve my academic goals there at Durant, and make the educational environment interesting and whatnot. And one in particular, my English teacher, I guess my sophomore and senior year, Gail Gaither, had a really big impact on me wanting to go in that direction as far as English education. But had a good foundation from Durant. And then once I got to Southeastern, I was fortunate enough to be selected to go into a Parsons Scholar Program, which was they would bring in 10 high school seniors every year, and they were part of the Parsons program. And we got scholarship money. We did various activities. And so I had some really bright people that came in and pushed me, kind of like I was talking about. I got pushed on the football field by various players. These other people that were part of the Parsons program, they pushed me to excel academically because I didn't want to be caught slipping, and look bad in front of them. I wanted to keep up with them and whatnot. So that was a big impact, just having the other students in the Parsons program pushing me and whatnot. And also at Southeastern, once I went into English, I had some excellent professors that really taught me a lot about, in the areas of English and education, and exposed me to some new ideas. And Dr. Randy Pruss, who I believe is still there, I had some excellent classes with him. Deconstruction of English literature, which at the time I don't think I knew what it was. I'd never heard of it, but learned a lot from him. And Dr. Elbert Hill, had several classes with him. Children's lit, adolescent lit, several things. He was an excellent teacher. Not only good and also Howard Starks, who taught humanities to us, and Dr. Flavel George was in the education department. So I had some excellent professors there. Not only excellent professors, some interesting characters also, some of those. But, a lot of it just came down to putting in the time, showing up for class, doing the work that was, assigned, and just kind of an everyday type deal, much like in athletics. You just kind of had to put the time in. But I had people pushing me, other students. I had professors that were working with me. And so anyway, I think that was a lot of how I was able to, to handle both sides of athletics and academics, because not only was I pushed to succeed athletically, also I had people around me push me academically. And although I'm a bit of a procrastinator, so I did spend a few late nights or all nights writing papers or whatever at the last minute. So I wouldn't recommend that, but whatever gets you by, I guess.
Well, let's talk a little bit as you transition from your college career into your post-collegiate life. What was you mentioned English and education. Were you an English education major?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I sure was.
Then, as you took that degree, talk about finishing up and moving into the workforce and what you've been doing since then.
Okay. As far as English education, athletics was something I enjoyed, and I kind of wanted to continue that. And so I thought, hey, if I can, maybe get a degree where I could teach in the high school level and also coach, I'd get a chance to, stay involved in athletics. And, as I said, the English area of things was something I was really enjoyed, and which was fairly blessed to be pretty good in that area. And so that's kind of how I ended up in that particular major and what I wanted to do. And but anyway, so I thought I'd just end up going straight to get a high school job and teach and coach and whatnot. But Coach Richard set me up with a graduate assistantship at Southern Arkansas University. What you recommend? He said, hey, it'd be a great experience. You can go work at some college, get some even more experience, for the X's and O's and how to teach different positions better. So, I went to Southern Arkansas University and coached there for a couple years. Worked on got a master's in kinesiology, and then from there, one of the coaches that I worked with at Southern Arkansas, he'd gone to the University of Southern Mississippi as a graduate assistant. Kerry Baker, who was a former player at University of Tennessee, shake and bake. But so anyway, once I finished up at Southern Arkansas, I really wasn't for sure what I was going to do after that. I thought, well, I'll go into the high school level now. But anyway, he got me to go out there, and so I spent several years out there coaching at Southern Miss, which was a great experience just to get to be around the Division I level, and after coming from a small NAI school was pretty neat. And of course, one thing, whether you play NAI ball or you play Division I ball, once it comes down, it's still all football, and the biggest difference I saw, I'm running about a 4.7 40 at Southeastern strong safeties, and D1 they're running about a 4.4 40. So they're bigger, faster, but when it comes down to it, the passion and the work that goes into it is just the same. But still, it was a really neat experience to get to work with some players that ended up, playing in the NFL and, getting to play at stadiums like Alabama, Texas A&M, Penn State, Florida, those places. Because the Southern Miss, none of those schools would come to us. We had to go play. But I learned a lot of football also there. Our offensive coordinator was longtime football coach Larry Keck, who I could go on for hours about the stories about Coach Keck. He was another interesting character, but he taught me a lot of football. Everything I know offensively, basically, I learned from his system. And he also gave me the opportunity to coach. A lot of times as a graduate assistant in big school, you don't get to coach a position. You're just breaking down film and that stuff. But I got to coach the slot receivers at Southern Miss, and so that was neat that I, had the responsibility of my own position and whatnot. And of course, several times I thought I was a really good coach, but I realized it was just the players that I had. And our slot receiver there that started was a young man named Todd Pinkston, who's ended up having a really good career in the NFL, played for the Eagles for a long time. And so after that, I finished that up. And so then actually I did go into the high school level. I got an opportunity to go to the Dallas area and coach at Highland Park High School, which has been an excellent football program, especially recently in in the state of Texas. And so once I went there, I was actually teaching at the middle school, and I was coaching receivers at the high school level. But the seventh grade coach had left right before the season. So Coach Allen needed a couple of people to coach the seventh grade. So myself and Reagan Daly, another coach, he put us in charge of the seventh grade. And first we're thinking, I can't believe we've got to coach the seventh grade. We're varsity coaches, we're kind of full of ourselves and whatnot. But we start coaching those seventh graders, and I'm watching our quarterbacks throw, and I'm like, look at this quarterback. This kid, he could play at Southern Miss last year. I've never seen a seventh grade quarterback throw the ball like this. It was just unbelievable. And, he could throw it deep, sure. He was such a smart young man. And I was like, this is pretty good, man. I'm getting this guy going. But it turns out that this young man named Matthew Stafford, who some people will be familiar with, and so once again, I thought I was such a great offensive mind, but it came down to, when you got the number one pick in the NFL draft, that kind of makes you a pretty good coach. So that was a really neat deal, especially coaching those seventh graders, because we had such good kids, and it's kind of interesting. It's a very affluent area, but those young men, they were great competitors, and you might not think that so much. You think, well, they've had things handed to them, but they were such hard workers and good kids. And another interesting thing, Stafford was our quarterback, and our center that year was a young man named Clayton Kershaw. So it's pretty funny. You got a Cy Young winner as your center, and then you got a first-round draft pick or number one overall pick as your quarterback. You're going to be pretty good. So we went undefeated, but that was not due to coaching. That was due to all the players there. And so anyway, after I finished, I just was there 1 year, and which was terrific. I really enjoyed it there. And but Coach Richards had got a job, the head job at Southwest Baptist University, which was the Division II school up in the MIAA. And so he called me up and wanted me to come be his offensive coordinator. And so, like I said, Coach Richards has been taking care of me my whole life. And so I went from there up to Southwest Baptist, got to be offensive coordinator, which that was a dream of mine. And so we were there 4 years, had some really great times, had some good football wins, and we had some bad football losses too. So it was at times a roller coaster. But as far as the kids at Southwest Baptist, you know, such hard workers. Had another quarterback who was not a NFL player or D1 player, Chris Lowe, but really enjoyed coaching him because he had the same mindset as Matt, such a sharp kid and whatnot. So I've been very fortunate to get to coach some good quarterbacks in my time. But Southwest Baptist was a great experience. Coach, he hired some great assistant coaches who have been, you know, friends of mine from there on out. And so it's kind of neat to be a part of a program there at Southwest Baptist because they hadn't had a winning season, I believe, in about 10 years. And so Coach Richards came in, established a new culture with that program. And, you know, in that first year, we had the first winning season in 10 years, which to me, it was 6-5. It wasn't like 12-0 or anything like that, but it was a big deal to the alumni and players at Southwest Baptist. And to us, it was really tremendous, a tremendous deal. So anyway, 4 years there with him, and then Coach was able to get the head job at Southeastern Oklahoma. And the last couple of years was very difficult. We didn't win many games, and one thing about coaching, it's highs and lows. You know, you feel if you win, you feel great. You're on top of the world. You lose, you feel sorry at the very bottom of the world. And if you win, but you played off bad offensively, still feel bad. So I kind of wanted to step away from that and the coaching for a while, and you know, just get off that roller coaster for a little bit to see if I wanted to go back. And from there, I just got into education, and you know, have worked from elementary to middle school to high school in various capacities for several years after that. And but currently I'm in doing something completely different from coaching or education. I've been my mother's father's got a farm in East Texas, and small cattle operation, and be her mother and father. And so I've been down here the last several years running the cattle operation, and we try to start a little some registered Hereford and sell a few registered Hereford bulls. So we've got some of those for sale if anybody's looking to get in the cattle business. But so I've been doing that, and I've always enjoyed being around, you know, the cattle and whatnot, just from growing up with my granddad, coming down here and whatnot. And so that's kind of a neat thing to be down here on the place that his family, you know, came to back in the 1850s, I guess. And so still getting to work on that is pretty neat. And also, I'm working at store down in Sulphur Springs, Texas also, because that money doesn't always come in great on the cattle business. Kind of depends on how it is. So anyway, that's kind of a brief synopsis of, I guess, what I've done since I graduated from Southeastern.
Well, you've put together quite a journey all the way back from your days in Durant until now. And you've done a little of this along the way, but I want to give you one opportunity before we wrap this up to say whatever thank yous or comments you feel like you need to get out to the fans, to the people who helped you, to everyone in the process along the way.
Okay, yes, that would be great, because without these people, and even the people that I don't even mention, I never would have been in the position that I am. And as far as the fans, we had great support there at our games. We had great student support, so that was really neat. When your friends would all be there at the game cheering after the game, coming, hug you and whatnot. So we had excellent fan support, and let's see. Of course, one of our greatest fans was a young man named Wasim from. I believe he's from Bangladesh, but he would show up to all our practices. Coach Baxter will know that. And then we had another super fan, Larry, both those guys would be at every practice, every game, always cheering us on. And so I've got to say Larry and Wasim were basically also members of the coaching staff just because they were always at the games. But in relation to fans, like I said, it was great. One person who championed me to get this honor was Harold Harmon. I know every time I'd see him, he would say, Jonathan, I'm trying to get you in the Hall of Fame. You deserve that. And it's like, no, Harold, I don't, but I appreciate it. And so he's been my number one supporter on this. And without Harold, I don't think I ever would have, because I know he's really pushed me. And Harold is a wonderful person. I think he's in poor health now, but he's been an institution at Southeastern for years. And as far as sports writers go, to me, there's Blackie Sherrod of the Dallas Morning News, and there's Harold Harmer of the Durant Daily Democrat. Those are the two best I've ever been around. So I would like to mention and thank him, who's also a Hall of Famer. He's also a Hall of Famer there. And I briefly mentioned earlier my coaches in high school, Coach Dalzell, Coach Rutherford, Coach Brees, who are all excellent coaches and taught me so much and, have kept up with me the whole time. And then, obviously, once I got to Southeastern, I know I mentioned Coach Sloan, who I'm forever grateful to, indebted to. And it's always good to see him and visit with him. And I'm glad he's come back to Durant. And I've been coaching at Durant High School, and I know what an impact he's made on them. Coach Pettit was our offensive line coach. Coach Baxter, who's obviously the athletic director and had a great career as the head football coach at Southeastern. And I just want to thank him as athletic director for, putting me in this opportunity. And then obviously Coach Ray Richards, like I said, he's been a second father to me, and I can't express how much he's meant and the impact that he's made on my life. And I kind of went through some professors and whatnot, who had a great impact on me. And like I said, I feel like as far as players, I just feel like I'm really accepting this in honor of these other players that were there with me during that tenure. And especially those guys right ahead of me that taught me how to work, guys like I said, Byron West, Chris Rainey, Greg Lawrence, Jason Wheeler, those guys, and then some guys that came in with my own class. Mike Horn, of course, he was good enough to start. He didn't have to redshirt. He was good enough to start right off the bat. But, so many good guys. Orlando Guidry came in with us, and a lot of good offensive players also. And the strong safeties I played with. Like I said, Stacey Ackley was a huge impact on me. He's a strong safety. A guy named Huey Matchin from Kingston was a strong safety with us. In my last year, Resh Woodson was another one. So I, had some good people around me. And one offensive player that we needed some help at corner, and he came to defensive side. He volunteered to play cornerback, and he was a great receiver too, Eric Knight. And so about the first half of the season, he played cornerback, and so he was behind me at corner. And so he's an offensive guy that I got to play with. But those I just really want to thank all my teammates from that time, both defensively, offensively, even guys that didn't get to step on the field, but that were still part of the program and working just as hard at it as everybody. So all those people. One other coach that's been a good friend of mine there, Mike Matheny, another Hall of Famer. So it's really humbling to get to go into something where these other guys that I look up to and respect are already in. Coach Bethany, been a great friend. His son, Michael, we grew up together and was a really good friend of mine. And sadly, he's passed on also. But I'd like to thank him just for his support. Even being a baseball coach, he was always very supportive of me. And, of course, obviously my parents, Jerry and Judy Polson. They've been such wonderful parents. They've been with me through all the highs and lows, encouraged me when I've been down in the dumps. They've always been there for me. When I've screwed up, they've always been there for me. And so, without their support, and also probably my mother's mother, Gladys George, she had a big influence on me, especially later in life. She lived with my parents, and I got to be around her, and she was such an encouragement also to me. So my brother Benjamin and his family, he always got me competitive because we'd play a lot of backyard basketball games. So I had to bring it to be with him because he was a better athlete than me. He was bigger and stronger than me. But sometimes I could get under his skin a little bit, so that was my advantage for Benjamin. But he's somebody else I want to thank, and also a great player during high school. I don't know. I know I'm leaving a lot of people out, but just everyone at Southeastern, just Southeastern's a wonderful place. They took great care of me, from the coaches to the students to the administration, even to the cafeteria. Everybody that's been at Southeastern will know Sandy, who works in the cafeteria, and what a wonderful woman she is. And, I mean, she just had a big impact on all of us on the football team because she'd always be yelling across the cafeteria, "Hey, Jonathan, how you doing today?" And, of course, she was friendly to everybody. So Southeastern was such a wonderful place, and just want to thank, the whole everybody that was there and had a part in my education and academics there.
Well, Jonathan, I want to once again say thank you for joining me today for this, and congratulations on your induction into the Hall of Fame.
Hey, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you calling me and wanting to visit with me about this. And once again, it's just a great honor to be recognized for this. And thank you so much to the people that got me in here, and thanks so much to the people that helped me get to this level. And once again, I just feel like I'm a part of this, just representing, the other, especially defensive players that played during the time that I was there at Southeastern. So thank you very much, Matt. I appreciate it.